I wanted to ask you to share the story that you shared with me via email, but here in video, uh, just a little bit, because so Date Yourself's coming out soon. This is
I'm
my author
so
proof with it. It's
excited.
so it's going to be so different than what you read, because what you read was a year ago, and even I've made this many changes since, like another version, and added a whole new intro and stuff. So it's coming. It's really close. But you got to read it over a year ago, and you shared something really interesting with me as a result of one of the practices of the book that I just wanted to ask you to share with the world, if you're willing.
Yeah. It was one of the first exercises in the book, the version that I read, the manuscript, was someone to love wildly. And I just loved that. I'm a very wordy person, so I just loved like the words of that exercise. But it was, you think about like, oh, what do you like in life? Or especially if you're thinking about a partner, like, what do you want in a partner? And I think usually when I would answer those questions, it would be, oh, I want somebody who's kind and generous and like makes me laugh. But you kind of don't, like, yeah, those are things you want, but that's not really drilling down to like what you want, right? And so for some reason, it was an evening that was kind of dark because I live in the Pacific Northwest, and I was curled up under a blanket, and I was like, I'm just going to do this exercise. And I pulled out my phone and my notes app, and I was just typing in, and I was kind of like, but what do I really want? And I was like, I want somebody who really knows something about something, like is really passionate about, it doesn't even matter what it is, about something, but the way that they show up and share that doesn't make other people feel demeaned, right?
Mm-hmm.
It makes people feel excited and thrilled for that person, that they know about that. And one of the other ones was, I want somebody who can make me laugh and make jokes, but never at anyone else's expense, right? Like they're never using anybody else or anything else to make the joke. It's just, they're just funny. And so it was taking those things that I thought I wanted in someone, but really understanding like, why did I want that? Or looking at past relationships and what was really good about them in detail, kind of. I think that's what that exercise encouraged me to do, was like, not just what do I want, but what do I want to love wildly in someone. Like I just loved that. So I made this whole list and then put it
And
aside.
that list is as much about you as the other person, right?
Right. And I think that was kind of, that was the intention of the exercise in the book, right? Was like, what do you want to love in another person? But then how do you find those things in you?
Yeah. How do you find and cultivate that? Yeah.
Exactly.
How do you become that? Yeah.
How do you become that? Let me pull up the list right now. Actually, it's right here. And I kind of just put it aside and didn't really think about it very much for a while. And then I met this person, and I wasn't expecting any particular connection. We went on a few dates and it was great, but we just met. And it just really flourished in a few months. And one night I was just thinking about how amazing this relationship was. And I went back and looked at that list and was like, he ticks like all of these boxes, and not only him, but like us together, like our interaction ticks all of those boxes. He had been a sailor for 8 years on tall ships, and that was a world that I knew nothing about.
Yeah.
And he brought all of that knowledge and his community, his boat community, into my life. And then I had my travels and my teaching and all of that he knew nothing about. but it was like we each had our own independent experiences and passions, and he's a hilarious pun master, and so like constantly making me laugh and never at anyone else's expense. Like, just it was crazy to read through that list and be like, man, it reminded me of the times we were talking in Colombia about writing a letter to the universe, and the fire ceremonies we would do. And I didn't write it on paper, I didn't burn it, but I guess writing it in my phone is like the modern day writing a letter to the universe. And it totally came into my life. And I think a lot of it was through him, but a lot of it was me just being ready for all of that. So it was really cool to look back at that exercise and be like, yes.
Love that. And I think the reason I shared that exercise in the book, and the reason I use it for myself and my clients, is because when we don't really know what we want, when we are vague about what we want, then we're vague about what we get, right? Like, I sort of want this, and then you sort of get that. But when we can get really clear, I cannot explain to you why this works, and I don't care, because it does work, right? That clarity of, this is what I am inviting, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I'm creating, and down to the like missing a button on a shirt. Like, it can be weird, right? Like, I want the person who like never can button their shirts properly and always is like one button off, or I want somebody as weird as I am, whatever the thing is. But like you said, just getting down a couple layers, right? Like, funny and kind, like my puppy meets those qualifications, but wouldn't satisfy what I'm craving for in a partner. When you get super clear, you don't have to look at it every day. You don't have to, like, this is the thing a lot of modern women think. They're like, when I figure it out, then I have to go and find it, and I'm the one responsible for making it happen. And this is where, like, putting it out into the universe and just being like, there you go, this is what I want, you can bring it to me now, whenever.
Just inviting it. Making
and not being solely responsible for making it happen.
I think you're right. I just found the list finally. I think you're right. Like, really, I was writing about all the things that I want to love in myself too. Like, there's this other part of the list that encourages optimism but not blind faith, and has similar values about life, humanity, and doesn't allow inevitable problems to get deep under the skin. Because I was so frustrated. I would meet people who were they were just so mired in negativity for one reason or another. And I get that. I get that everyone has baggage and drama, but I like to be positive. I like to be surrounded by positive people. And so there will be problems inevitably, but one of the things that I love about my partner is that he really does not let them get under his skin. He's able to kind of like deal with them in the moment or in a few days, and then let that go, which I think is something that I really cherish in usually what I'm able to do. So anyway,
Well, and maybe the last part that I want to have be part of this conversation is, when we are looking for someone else to be what we cannot be, like, I need you to fix me, or you to fill me, or you to be positive because I'm a hot mess and I don't want to do anything about it. There's nothing wrong with being a hot mess, by the way. But like, when we are, I want you to be all the things I can't be for myself, that automatically sets up something that's not going to go well on a long enough timeline, right? And I love your list because it helped you get clear about you with you, which is the beginning. And the whole book is not about Carissa's story of like finding the person and the happily ever after with the other person. But it happens when we get like clear on us. When we are clear about who we are, what we like, what we want, then we're cultivating that for ourselves. But then we're easier to love, and we can love easier. And so that's the intention behind the book, is partner or no partner out here, you've like, oh, this is who I am and what I want and what I like and how I like it, and get to have fun regardless.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really excited about bringing it out into the world, and I'm
I'm
glad
so
that you got
excited. I'm so excited to have it like in my hands. That's what I'm really excited about. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just gonna taunt you a little bit.
I'll import it from Medellin.